So welcome students. We were discussing about the cost management process, which are based on these four processes. We have done all three uh, first processes in our previous lectures. Now today we are continuing with the last one, which is about controlling cost. Controlling cost means that controlling changes to the project budget. So these are the activities involved in controlling project cost. You see there are three activities. Number one, monitoring your cost performance means measuring the performance of your project. Ensuring that only appropriate project changes are included in a revised cost baseline, informing the project stakeholders of authorized changes to the project that will affect the cost. So several tools and techniques assist in project cost control, expert judgment, data analysis, project management, information systems, and to complete performance index. So here you can see here the first activity which is involved in controlling project cost is measuring performance, which is based on earned value management EVM. So what is this EVM? EVM is a commonly used method of performance measurement that integrates the project scope, cost, and schedule. It measures to assess the project performance and progress. So given you see the scope, cost, and the project performance progress. So they all are included in EVM. Given a baseline original plan plus approved changes, you can determine how well the project is meeting scope, time, and cost goals. So scope, time, and cost are the three main constraints, right? So this actually help us EVM to find out the performance on the base of scope, time, and the cost goals. So earned value management involves calculating three values for each activity or summary activity from a project's work breakdown structure. What are these? Planned value, actual value, and the earned value. Let's discuss these in detail. So what is EVM? EVM is the earned value management. It's a project management technique used to assess a project's performance by comparing the actual work completed, which we call the earned value, with the planned work, which is planned value, and the actual cost incurred, which we call the actual cost. And earned value is a, as we say, as I tell you, it's a key concept within EVM. The point is why we need it. Earned value management actually provides the project managers with a comprehensive framework for assessing the project performance, identifying the trends, and making data-driven decisions to keep projects on track and within the budget. So here you can see the three key metrics in EVM calculations are planned value, short form PV, is the budgeted cost of work scheduled or the budget, is that portion of the approved total cost estimate planned to be spent on an activity during a given period. Second is the actual cost. It is the actual cost of the work actually performed, which is and completed, or the total of direct and indirect costs incurred in accomplishing the work on an activity during a given period. The last is the earned value. The short form we are using here, EV, is the budgeted cost of work performed or an estimate of the value of the physical work actually completed. So earned value or EV is based on the original planned cost for the project or activity and the rate at which the team is completing work on the project or activity to date. This slide actually shows the earned value management techniques. We have, as we say, the planned value PV is the budgeted cost for the work scheduled. Earned value EV is the budgeted cost for the work actually completed. Actual cost is represented as AC, and this is the actual cost of the work actually completed. We have few more concepts over here like schedule variance. SV, it is actually the measure of schedule performance on a project and how we calculate it. SV is the can be calculated by subtracting the planned value from the earned value. Then we have a cost variance, as the name implies. This is the measure of the cost performance on a project. How we can calculate it? Earned value, we can minus the actual cost from the earned value. Next is the schedule performance index, which is the measure of the progress achieved compared to the progress planned. So how it's actually a ratio. So earned value divided by uh, planned value will give the SPI, Scheduled Performance Index. The last is the CPI, Cost Performance Index. It is the measure of the value of work completed compared to the actual cost or progress. So CPI can be calculated by dividing earned value by actual cost. So here you should be careful while solving the questions like the variances always have monetary units, like the dollar is the unit over there for the variance, like we have schedule variance, we have cost variance. So they are actually calculated in dollars. But the indexes like schedule performance index and the cost performance index, they are ratios or fractions and the unit is the percent. So in this slide, you can see here the formulas from your book, earned value formulas, which we are going to use, in solving the sample example. So here, this shows here, look, all these formulas at one place. Now, the formulas we see here, and now this slide shows the interpretations for the earned value management interpretations. Like, for example, schedule variance, if it is the value of the schedule variance is less than zero. So what is the interpretation? What does it mean? It means your cost is behind, your project is behind the schedule. And the schedule variance, if it is equals to zero, it means that our project is on schedule. And if our value for the schedule variance is greater than zero, it means the project is ahead of schedule. Now, second parameter is the cost variance. So cost variance is less than zero means project is over budget. Cost variance is equals to zero means the project is exactly on budget. But if your cost variance is greater than zero, it means the project is under budget. Next is the schedule performance index. And here you see for the schedule performance index, like it's as I tell you, it's a ratio. It's calculate the unit is percentage. So it's we can talk about the schedule performance index. As I tell you, is the earned value minus the the schedule performance index is actually the ratio of the earned value to the planned value. So it can be used to estimate the projected time to complete the project. So here you can see if it is SPI is of 1 or 100%, which means the project is on schedule. But if the SPI is greater than 1 or 100%, then the project is ahead of schedule. Third case, if the SPI is less than or 1 or 100%, the project is behind the schedule. The last is the, so how you can write it, I am progressing at this percent of the rate originally planned. So this is how you can, interpret it. Last is the cost performance index. Like cost performance index is the ratio of the earned value to actual cost. So it can be used to estimate the projected cost of completing the project. So if your CPI is equal to 1 or 100, percent, then the planned and actual costs are equal. The costs are exactly as budgeted. But in the case if the CPI is less than or less than 1 or less than 100%, it means the project is over budget. If the CPI is greater than 1 or more than 100%, the project is under budget. So we will see, we will understand more about these terms and their purpose with the help of the example. So this slide is actually from your book, like you can see the example on page 307 and 308, and it shows actually the earned value calculations for one activity after 1 week, right? So these are the values. This is the values are given. So on the basis of these values and formulas we discussed, like the earned value and the cost variance and all these, the formulas, we got this information, these terms, right? These calculations. Now, this is the solved example in your book, right? So it's your homework activity, like with the given earned value and the planned value and the actual value and the cost variance, you know, for the schedule variance, cost performance, CPI, SPI, these values you need to interpret, like what do these numbers mean. Like I just explained you that if it is less than or greater than, so how we can say the project is under budget, over budget, on time, not on the time, what these numbers actually mean. So write answers as per the explanations in the previous slides. So I'm going to discuss one example to make your concepts more clear. So this is our activity dependency table. It shows, right, I take it from some YouTube video. You can, I explain over here, but later on you can watch the video for the complete worked out example. So this is our activity dependency table. You can see the total project plan, the activity. We have altogether 5 activities, and the let's say the first activity A has no predecessors. It takes 2 days of to be completed, and the total cost, the cost per day for this activity is $300, and the total cost is $600. Second activity is the activity B, and the predecessor means activity B should be started when the activity A must be completed, right? So activity B needs 3 days. The duration for activity B is 3. Cost per day is 400. 3 multiplied by 400. So the total cost for activity B is 1200. Similarly, activity C, the predecessor is the activity B. The duration for the activity C is 3. Cost per day is 400. So 3 multiplied by 4, the total cost for activity C is 1200. The activity number D, we have the predecessor B. The duration in days for the activity D is 2. Cost per day 200. So when we multiply 2 by 200, the total cost for activity D is 400. Last activity is the E. For this activity, the predecessor is activity D. The duration in days for activity E is 3. And the cost per day is 100. So the total cost for the activity E is the 300. Now, in this slide, you can see here, we have the field report at the end of the day 7, right? This is our actual plan. This at the end of the day 7, we have this field report. Now we are going to actually, based on our plan, we are going to calculate the we are going to calculate the EVM, right? So let's see here. So based on our activity, if you see this is the Gantt chart, right? For example, so activity A is what? It takes 2 days. How many days? It takes 2 days to be completed. Activity B needs 3 days to be completed, and the predecessor is A. So we are starting the B from here. And activity C predecessor is B. So we start the activity C from this point and it takes 3 days, right? And activity D predecessor is the B, right? So you can see the B and D and C are parallel started because both are the successor of the activity B. So it takes 2 days for completion. Then the last activity E predecessor is D, so and it takes 3 days. So we are starting here. So actually, this is our you can say kind of Gantt chart, but we have the field report at the end of the day 7. So we need to calculate our we need to analyze, we need to calculate the earned value, we need to do the earned value analysis to monitor and measure the cost performance of our project. But just have a look at this report, right? After 7 days, after 7 days, like this, you can see these are the y-axis shows the activities, and here we have the duration in days. So actually, activity A, which is planned in 2 days, right? And it is the 7th day. So here we are drawing a red line, which means this is our reporting day. And we are evaluating the activity A, which needs the 2 days. It is completed according to the report. It is how much, what is the activity A? Activity is 100% completed. And what is the incurred cost? It is the 600, right? Now this activity B, by the end of the reporting day, which is day 7, activity B is also completed 100%, right? And you see the incurred cost is 100, but we here our budgeted cost or this or planned cost is 1200. We'll talk more about it later on. Just you have a look at it, notice it. Okay, by the end of the day 7, we notice the activity C is completed 33%, right? 33%. But in real, according to our planning, it should be completed two-third part, but it is completed just one part, right? That's why you can see the red line is here. So it is completed till day 7, but we planned till day 7, it should be, activity C should be completed at two-third, right? Now, activity D is completed 50%. According to our completed till day 7, but according to our plan still, for the activity D, it should be fully completed till by the day 7, right? So this is just for your understanding. We actually need to calculate and we need to we are going to do the earned value analysis, as I tell you, to monitor and measure the cost performance of our project. So now in this slide, you can look you look at the table, right? We need to find out the values. We need to fill in the values in this table to make our calculations. So the first column is the AC. AC, as we see in the previous slides, represents the actual cost incurred, which means how much we paid for the work done so far. So we'll do for each activity. So activity A incurred, you can see the $600, and incurred is $600. So we are writing here 600. For the activity B, the incurred cost is $1,400. So as I tell you, notice you can easily, we plan for the activity B, the $1,200, but actually it costs $1,400. So we write it here, the incurred cost for the activity B is 1,400. Activity C incurred by the end of the day 7, $500. So far so for the work so far, done, right? So we write here 500 in front of activity C. Then we have activity D, incurred cost is 200, right? For the week, for the work done by the end of the day 7. So we write it here 200. Last is our activity E, which has not started yet and we did not spend any money on it. So for activity E, AC value or is 0, right? You can see 0. So we can make the total for all these values and the final value is $2,700, right? So this is, we are done with the first column. Now the second is about to calculate the earned value, right? So for the earned value, as I know, as I tell you that it represents the value of the work completed. So if we see for the activity A, we completed activity A 100%. Here you can see activity A is 100% completed and we planned $600 for it. So earned value of activity A is $600. So we also completed the activity B 100% and the budget for the activity B is what? 1200. So we write it here 1200. Activity C completed 33%, right? Now here please pay attention. Activity C completed 30%, 33%, which means one third of the work for the activity C is completed, right? So far, and we are actually expecting the total budget or the total cost for activity C is 1200. So as you see, the cost per day is 400, means 3 for one day. The cost for activity C is $400. But so the budget cost for the activity C is $400, right? This is actually the incurred cost. Don't get confused. Here in the earned value, we are putting the values which we are the budgeted values, the total cost which we planned for these activities. Okay, the next is for activity D. We have seen that we have finished 50% of the work by the end of the day 7, and the cost per day for the activity D is 200, right? So the earned value for activity D is what? 200, right? Again, for activity E, earned value at this point is 0 because we haven't started it yet. So when we make the total of this column, right? So the total earned value is by the end of day 7 is, no, sorry, the total earned value is till the end of the day 7 is 2400. Now the third value, which is the planned value. Now planned value, as I tell you, it represents the baseline or the planned cost of the project. It is how much we expected to pay for each activity by the reporting date. So we are expecting the activity A, B, as you see this graph, by the end of the day 7, what we are expecting? We are expecting A, B, and D activities should be completed, right? And activity C should be completed 2/3 of the work. So what is the budgeted cost of these targets? Actually, we want to know about it. So let's start with the activity A. So activity A, as you see, it is expected total cost is $600 and we are expecting it to complete before day 7. So the planned value for activity A is $600. Similarly, for the activity B, we are expecting it to complete before the day 7. And you see the value for the planned value for the budgeted planned value for the activity B is 1200. So we are writing it here 1200. Now you see the activity C, we are expecting, you see, activity C by the end of the day 7, by the end of the reporting day, we are expecting it should be completed 2/3 of the work. Now, 2/3 of the work means 2 days. So the budgeted cost for activity C is 2 multiplied by 400 cost per day. It should be 800 here, right? Now, the next is our activity D, which you see the budgeted cost for the activity D by the reporting day is 400, because we are expecting that the activity D should be completed by the reporting day. So the budgeted cost for the planned cost for the activity D is 400. Here again, for activity E, we haven't scheduled anything yet, so the value is 0. So when we make the total of this column, it will become 3000. So if everything is going according to our plan, it cost $3,000 by the end of the day 7. Now the next value is the CPI. CPI, as we just so we need to calculate the CPI, which is the cost performance index, and it is the ratio of the earned value to the actual cost. It can be used to estimate the projected cost of the completing the project. So here from this table, you can see the formula for the CPI is earned value over actual cost. We can do it individually by filling in all these columns for each activity, but actually we are interested in the final value and we can do it. So make our work easier, we are directly doing. So according to that, CPI is equals to what? It is the earned value over the actual value, right? So earned value is what? Earned value, we have $2,400, right? And the actual cost is 27,000. So when we make this calculation, we'll get the value which is 0.889. Now, I explain you that what does it mean. From our previous slides, you can go back. So if as I tell you, if CPI is less than 1, it shows that the project is over budgeted, right? Next, we need to calculate the cost variance or CV, which is the earned value. If you see here in the table, which is the earned value minus the actual cost. So we can do it directly, and as I tell you, we can do individually as well. So earned value is what? We have the earned value $2,400, and our uh, actual cost is 27. So when we minus 2,400 from 2,700, the value will get this negative value, right? Minus 300. So if our cost variance is less than 0, which means that the project is over budget, right? So we discussed it before, like if cost variance is a negative number, it means that performing the work cost more than planned. If the cost variance is positive number, which means the performing the work cost less than the planned values. The next is the SPI. SPI is the short form, as I tell you, it's as you see here, is the schedule performance index, which is the actually the ratio of earned value to planned value, and it can be used to estimate the projected time to complete the project. So earned value here we have 2,400, and our planned value is $3,000. So 24 over 3,000 will gives us this 0.8 value. So similar to the CPI index, and SPI is if it is 1 or 100% means the project is on schedule. right? If the SPI is greater than 1 or 100%, then the project is ahead of schedule. And if the SPI is less than 1 or 100%, the project is behind the schedule. So in our case, the SPI is less than 1. So we can write the comment that SPI show less than 1, which shows that the project is behind the schedule. Okay, now the last column, which is the SB or schedule variance, which is the, you can see here, which is what? It is the earned value minus the planned value. So what is our earned value? Earned value is our $2,400 and our planned value is $3,000. So when you minus it, you will get the minus 600, right? So a negative schedule variance means that it took longer than the planned to perform the work, right? So how we'll write it? SV less than 1 shows that the project is behind the schedule. But if your SV is a positive number, then your comment is like the positive schedule variance means that the work took less time than the planned time. But in our case, it is negative, so we are writing the project is behind the schedule. So what is the rule of thumb here? Overall, girls, the negative numbers for cost and schedule variance indicate the problems in those areas. You see here. Here, the negative number, our comment is according to our calculation, project is behind the schedule. Here, minus 300 CV is less than 0. It means the project is over budgeted. So negative numbers for cost and schedule variance indicates the problems in those areas. Similarly, CPI and SPI, if you are getting the less than 100% or 1.0, it indicates there are problems. Problems means the project is costing more than planned, or it is over budget, or taking longer than the planned schedules, like it's behind the schedule. So the CPI can be used to calculate the estimate at completion, which is an estimate of what it will cost to complete the project based on the performance to date, right? So the budget at completion or BAC is the original total budget for the project. This slide actually shows the forecasting terms, right? Like BAC, as I tell you, it's a budget at completion, and how we can determine it, the total budget for the work as indicated in the project plan. It is given to you that what is the total budget for your project plan. So with this value, you can calculate further 3 more values, which is EAC, estimate at completion. It is the ratio, the expected total cost for completing work expressed as the sum of the actual cost to date and estimate to complete. So it's a ratio of BAC over CPI. Another is the ETC, which is the estimate to completion. So it is the cost to finish the job, that is what likely left to be spent. So ETC you can find out from this formula, like EAC minus AC will give you the value for estimate to completion for the project. The last is the variance at completion or VAC. We can find out the value for this by subtracting the EAC, which is the estimate at completion, from the budget at completion. So this amount over or under budget the project will be when completed. So these are actually the forecasting terms for the project. So here is the summary of all this discussion, like the important concepts. Cost variance or CV is the earned value minus the actual cost. Schedule variance SV is the earned value minus the planned value. Cost performance index CPI is the ratio of earned value to actual cost. Then we have schedule performance index, which is SPI. It is the ratio of earned value to planned value. Then estimate at completion, EAC is an estimated cost of completing a project based on performance to date. So to complete performance index, TCPI is another measure of the cost performance that must be achieved with the remaining resources to meet a specific goal. Now, this slide shows, it's from your book, figure 7.6. It shows an earned value chart for a 1 year project after 5 months. Now, here you can see the value is, the cost is in dollars, and x-axis shows the time in month. So, it shows an earned value chart for 1 year project after 5 months. So you can notice that the actual cost and the earned value, this is the actual cost line, the dotted green line, and the earned value, the dotted black line. So you can notice that the actual cost and the earned value lines end at 5 months because the data were collected or estimated at that point. So the chart includes, you can see 3 lines altogether and 2 points. So one line is actual cost, another is earned value, third is the planned value. The 2 data points here you can see the budget at completion BAC and the estimate at completion EAC. These 2 points. So when viewing the earned value information in chart from in this chart, it helps you to visualize how the project is performing. For example, you can see the planned performance by looking at the planned value line, right? Planned value line. You can see this is a visual representation, right? Uh, that how the project is performing. Uh, so if the project goes as planned, it will finish in how many months? It will finish in 12 months. And cost is, the planned cost is what? It's $100,000. But you can notice in this example that the actual cost line is, this is the actual cost line. It is always on or above the earned value line, which indicates that costs are equal to or more than the planned values. So the planned value line is close to the earned value line and is slightly higher in the last month, right? So this relationship means that the project has been on a schedule until the last month when the project fell behind the schedule. So the estimate, here you can see the estimate at completion EAC is a point above and to right of the BAC point, which means that the project is projected to cost more and take longer than the planned time period, right? So this is the graphical representation. Okay, so this slide is just shows the project cost management processes summary. We are interested in the cost, and so the first process is the estimate cost. What is the purpose for this process? We are looking the answer for how much, and the key output of this process is the activity cost estimate. The second process is to determine the budget. The purpose of this process is how much and when. So the key output is the cost performance and the baseline cash flow. The last is to control costs. So control, the purpose of this phase is to find out as our, everything is as planning or not. So what is the key output? We have the budget forecast, we have estimated completion, and we have the change requests. So what is, we discussed some global issues like EVM is used worldwide and it is particularly popular in the Middle East, South Asia, Canada, and Europe. Most countries requires the EVM for large defense or government projects as shown in figure 7.7. Now you can see here in the figure 7.7 shows us like most countries are, if you see the key, the defense is shown as orange and this is the private industry green. So you can see the most countries are require the EVM for large defenses for government projects, right? So this is this shows the importance of this EVM method. So EVM is also used in such private industry sectors as IT, construction, energy, and manufacturing. However, most private companies have not yet applied EVM to their projects because management does not require it and they feeling that it's too complex and not cost effective. So as we project portfolio management, right? So as we discussed earlier, project management, project portfolio management or PPM is a way of selecting and managing the multiple projects that align with the strategy. And as you saw in chapter number 1, many organizations now collect and control an entire suite of projects or investments as one set of interrelated activities in one place, which is a portfolio. So the project managers need to understand how their projects fit into the bigger picture. For example, there can be a portfolio for IT projects and portfolio for other types of projects. So if we look at broad categories of similar projects, which enables the project managers to help their organizations make wise investment decisions. So an organization can view the project portfolio management as having the 5 levels from simplest to most complex, as you see here. Number 1 is put all your projects in one database. You need to prioritize the projects in your database. Divide your projects into 2 or 3 budgets based on type of investments. Automate the repository. Apply modern portfolio theory, including risk return tools that map the project risk on a curve. So here before we end up our chapter, we will see that using project management software to assist in project cost management. So most likely the spreadsheets are a common tool for resource planning, cost estimating, cost budgeting, and cost control. Many companies use more sophisticated and centralized financial applications software for cost information. Project management software can increase a project manager's effectiveness during each process of project cost management. So many IT project managers use other tools to manage cost information because they do not know that they can use project management software, or they do not track the cost based on the work breakdown structure as most project management softwares does. Here we are, some recent studies on PPM softwares, like according to in 2007, according to Gartner report, it says the market continues to grow with annual sales over $2.3 billion. Forrester estimates the ROI return on investments of 250% from PPM tools. Pfizer and Ford use, these are the 2 big companies, they use the PPM software to improve the transparency of the many projects they manage. So this actually shows the importance of the PPM. Okay, now the considerations for the agile and the adaptive environments. Girls, projects with high degree of uncertainty or those where the scope is not yet fully defined may not benefit from the detailed cost calculations due to frequent changes. So instead, lightweight estimation methods can be used to generate a fast, high-level forecast of project labor cost, which can then be easily adjusted as changes arise. So detailed estimates are reserved for short-term planning horizons in a just-in-time fashion. So Agile EVM is an adopted implementation of EVM. So it uses the Scrum framework artifacts as inputs, uses traditional EVM calculations, and is expressed in traditional EVM metrics. It requires a minimal set of input parameters, actual cost of a project, an estimated product backlog, release plan that provides information